What does it mean to be a successful public transit agency? What are you doing to lead the way? It's time to learn from the top transit professionals from around the world. This is Transit Unplugged with your host, Paul Comfort.
Welcome to Transit Unplugged. I'm your host, Paul Comfort. Great to have you with us today as we take a trip into Latin America. Our first time ever, we've interviewed a guest in Latin America. We are excited today to have with us Dimas Barreira, who is president of SINDIONIBUS in Brazil. Thank you so much for being with us today, Dimas.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you for your time. It's going to be a pleasure to talk about the service that we do over here.
Wonderful. So, and I also want to acknowledge Juan Garidi, who works with our company, who helped me set up this interview and the other ones. And thank you so much to him for helping us make our way into Latin America. And we hope to have many more guests from Latin America on the show. So, Dimas, first off, why don't you tell us a little bit about where you're calling in from and about the area of Brazil, and then tell us about who you work with and tell us about your responsibilities there.
Well, Paul, trying to make it a little short to present. The main work that I do is I'm the president of a congregation of 17 companies that operate in Fortaleza. Nowadays, because of the pandemics, we kind of reduced a little bit over the last year and a half. So, but we still operate around 1,850 buses in all the metropolitan region of Fortaleza. It's around, just get an idea, around 10,000 round trips daily, and about maybe 550,000 passengers daily now, because it was more than 1 million before the pandemics. So this is kind of the size of the operation here, what we do daily. And we're facing a lot of challenges. The pandemics came and kind of accelerated a lot of them, but we were already in a very accelerated pace of change before the pandemics came. So I think we will have the time to talk about this.
So tell me about where you're located for people who are geographically challenged and maybe don't know about Brazil. Tell us where Brazil is in Latin America, and then also where the city and the area you're at is in Brazil.
Okay, we're in South America, and Fortaleza is a city that we have around 2,007,700 people in the city. We're located at the northeast of Brazil, very close to the equator.
Oh, okay.
The equator line, and so it's kind of very high north in Brazil, and northeast, a coast city. We have a beach, and throughout the whole year we have the same weather.
Wow, because you're right on the equator. So we're talking in the middle part of June. So what's the temperature like down there? Is it warm and sunny pretty much all the time now?
All the time, and I don't know in Fahrenheit, but it's around 29 degrees. It's
okay.
Nice and warm.
Yeah,
not too hot though. Never
okay.
Too hot.
Well, that's great. And so it sounds like you have an association of companies that provide transportation services, not only in the city you're at, but in the region around it. Is that right?
That's right.
And the city is called Fortaleza?
Fortaleza,
yep. And so tell us about how that developed. Is that the way the transportation has always been? Does the government subsidize the service? Kind of give us a lay of the land, how that works.
Well, we're in the middle of a process to change that, but it kind of developed by itself. We started like in the early 2000s.
Okay.
Every company, they had their own lanes. It was kind of the companies were isolated. We were only together for matters like negotiate with employees the salary that we're going to pay, and to negotiate with the city how much we were going to charge for the rides, for the trips, for the tickets.
Right.
And we were kind of isolated. in 2007, we started a change, and now we have one central of planning for the whole city, which decides all the lanes that we're going to have, how many buses in each lane, the time schedule, and also we control the operation using a lot of tech. We have all the buses for about 15 years. We have all the buses always located by GPS system.
Okay.
Have people in at the streets, and also people in the office. The people in the office are seeing what they can't see in the street. I think you can get that. They're interacting and saying, "Hey, there's a problem with the lane there. The buses are being held somewhere because of a traffic accident or something." So
right.
They interfere and always keep the headway the way it is planned. So if one bus, for some reason, get close to another one, and the header was expected like for 10 minutes between the buses, if they get together, what would make the headway 20 minutes for the one that misses two buses in a way in the same time. So we have to interfere and put 10 minutes back working. Also, we have an app, and that's something that's pretty amazing here in Fortaleza. Since 2015, we have an app that you can touch every bus stop in the city. We have more than 4,000. And wow. You know the time of your bus in that bus stop. It's not a schedule. It's actually real time. If something delays the bus, you're going to get to know with 2 minutes of accuracy the time your bus is going to be in the bus stop.
That's great. Does the government subsidize you? Did they give you all money, or do you make all your money off the fares?
That's what we're negotiating right now. We have been living only out of fares for too long, but that's to not work anymore. It's just not possible anymore because we have a lot of people that don't pay because of social programs, but they don't pay and nobody else pay for them. So the passenger that is his neighbor has to pay for his
right.
So all that together starts to make the ticket too high. And we have to start thinking about, when you think about the city, and you have to invite people to use the buses, the collective transportation, it's good for the city in many ways. It makes the city works flow better, and it helps to reduce accident costs with health system, all of that. So you don't want the prices to get too expensive, so people will abandon collective transportation and start using individual transportation. That impacts badly the city. So yes. Negotiating to keep the price lower and starts to having public subsidy. Because of the pandemics, we just started to receive for the first time public help with our budget.
That's good. Yeah, especially with ridership being down like that, having that extra subsidy helps. We're having the same thing we're seeing not only in America, but around the world. The governments are getting a little bit more involved, especially the federal governments. Now, does the national government of Brazil help, or is this just the local governments you're working with?
Not yet. We're negotiating that too. We almost had it for the first time last year. We approved with the legislators 4 billion reals, which would be a little less than $1 billion for the whole country. It's not very much money, but it was the symbology was
yes.
But because of budget restrictions, the government did not approve it at the last time.
Okay.
At the last minute, but we're still negotiating that, and we think in this year it's going to happen.
Now, Brazil's a very big country. I know it's one of the really, what was considered an up and coming country, Brazil and India prior to COVID. Is this the way the whole country's transportation networks are formed? Is that private companies work together in groups of associations in various regions, or is it run differently in different places?
Well, throughout the last 15 years, I'd say the big cities started to work like that.
Okay.
It's not possible anymore for the city hall administration to have to deal with a lot of companies with different interests. So they have to have only one institution to deal with. and that's why we congregate them all. We plan better. We don't have ties because of some companies, so we can make a better service and cheaper, more efficient.
Now, you all have a National Urban Transport Association that you're a counselor with. Tell us about that.
Yes, that's a reunion of all the companies in Brazil. Not all the companies, but most of them are associated.
Okay.
That's an institution that represents us to unite us in strategy, in dialogue with authorities and with the press, and negotiate like the 4 billion reals that almost got through last year. That's all done by.
Very good. And what's your role with them?
I'm a board member. We have nowadays, I think we have 12 board members.
Okay.
And I've been a board member since 2010.
Gotcha.
And we kind of debate every time what's going to be our agenda and approve and ways to defend those issues.
Are you all affiliated with UITP?
Yes. Yeah. The NTU is our national association, and it is associated with UYTP.
That's good. Now, how about back in your city? Is it in the public transportation sector? Is it just big buses, or do you have other types of transportation like BRT or smaller vans for people with disabilities, those kinds of things?
Yes, that's a great question. We used to go from what we call the minibuses that has like a minibus has around 22 or 23 seats.
Right.
But you can ride standing. We go all the way from that to the articulated buses that runs in the BRTs. But now we just added, before keeping on the bus to begin to explain this, from the minibus to the articulated bus, we have here 6 classes of buses.
Okay.
Okay. They keep going a little, getting bigger in each class until the articulated. But now we have also transportation, collective transportation on demand. We've just started that in December of 19, the 4th of December in 2019. So the pandemic's kind of hit us when we were taking off. In March, we had the first lockdown here. So it really got in our way, but still we keep the service. It's something that we're developing. We have only 18 buses doing this service, but it's something that we think right now it is just in one part of the city, the middle part of the city, but we think it's going to be all over the city, and it's going to complement the regular public transportation. The next step we're going to take is to put on our MaaS system. I don't know how do you say that, MaaS, but it's mobility as a service.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Right, MaaS. And we're developing a platform.
Good.
Yes. And we are also looking at options that we are already on the market. So we have choices to choose. We have a few options.
Yes.
It's our next step. And we also here have a very good harmony, for say, with the bikes that have shared bikes in the city.
Yes.
2 systems of shared bikes. They're not ours. We do not operate them, but we have harmony with them, synchrony with them in planning. How is that? If you have the bus card, which is something that we use in integration in our system, you can also use the bikes. And we also have one system of bikes that is dedicated to the buses. Like you can go to a bus terminal, 7 big bus terminals in Fortaleza, and you can get out of the bus, get your bike for free just because you used our card.
Okay.
With the bike to your home and only turn it back in 12 hours. So you have the time to sleep, to spend the night, and bring it back 12 hours later. So I can get in the terminal at night, go home, get to sleep, and get back with the bike next morning. And in the weekends, you have from Friday to Monday to keep the bike for you. So you can come back, put it back, and integrate with the system.
That's great. So you guys are really having a lot of high-tech solutions, it sounds like, and moving forward with the mobility as a service and connecting up with other modes of mobility. That's wonderful. You are you helping to kind of lead that effort to get the latest in high tech?
Yes. What we think is, first of all, changes and evolution and technology, they're going to come. You can hold it. And when technology started to mess with everything, the first reaction, I think naturally, was to try to make the world go back as it was, because it worked easier. So, but we realized we learned it, and now we think, what I think especially is that we have to be the leader of transportation in the city. Not thinking of us as entrepreneurs. It's because we think that's what we think works for the city. The public transportation have to lead. Everything else, we have to be able to connect with all kinds of transportation. We have to use technology to keep the passengers wanting to use our collective transportation. Just so you know, for instance, you can buy credit to use in the buses here through an app. And because all the buses are online, when you get on the bus, the credit that you just bought, it's going to be there waiting for your card in 5 minutes. And also, we use technology. That's what we think. We think technology, we have to embrace technology and change. So yes. That's what we're trying to do. And right now, I just remembered, right now, we're implementing we have computers in all the buses. We call it validators. I think you know the concept.
Yes.
That go on board, so you can validate your ticket. And we're just implementing NFC, which is near field communication with the telephones, the smartphones, and QR codes. So if you don't have a card, but you go to an app and you buy the credit to use the system, you're going to be able to get there with your phone and pay for the ride.
That's great. That's actually more advanced than some of I've seen here in America. That's really good. You're really working on improving your ITS infrastructure, it sounds like.
Yes. Just so you know, we have 17 bus garages.
Okay.
Here in the city. All of them are prepared with optic fiber.
Yes. But yeah, fiber optics. Yeah.
Yeah, fiber optics and the radios, so they can have to communicate with the buses throughout the night to put information in the buses and to get the information from the buses. And also the buses are online.
Yes.
All pieces of information we send out throughout the day, and the big information we go in and out of the buses throughout the night.
That's awesome, Dimas. Now, tell me about these 17 companies that are involved in your group. Are they the ones paying for all this infrastructure improvements? Do you all agree as an association that, hey, all 17 companies, you're going to upgrade and you're going to have to pay for these upgrades on your buses? Or how does that work?
Yes, that's exactly what we do. We get together, we debate every investments, and we decide it together. No company does it, does something by themselves or different. We have only one system of controlling the tickets. We have only one system to track all the buses in the GPS system. We hired one big bank of data in the cloud. So we do all that in SINDIONIBUS.
Wow, that's good. So you're getting the power of kind of shared. All that shared information, everybody kind of sharing and making decisions going forward. Do you take a vote and when there's a majority, you decide to go that way? Or how does it work? If one company says, no, we don't want to invest the extra money, but 16 others say yes, do they have to go along?
Yes. Usually we kind of get to a consensus.
Okay.
Sometimes it happens. And when somebody says, if some company says, I'm not going together, okay, so you're going to be out of the system.
Okay.
So it just doesn't work.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Decisions we have to make together.
So you're the head of this whole group. How did you become head of this group?
And I became a director in 2005, if I'm right. And I started a revolution here. I'm trying to say it not in a pedant being
Yeah,
with
well, go ahead.
humility,
We'll
but
let you brag on yourself a little bit. Go ahead.
okay, that's not what I'm trying to say, but that's
Yeah.
what showed me to the colleagues.
Okay.
Because I wanted to have this central decisions and planning and operation control, and that was a paradigm here. People didn't want that. No,
Okay.
you're going to mess with my company. I've always been that way. We always worked that way. And I started to convince some colleagues to change the way things worked. And when I had like kind of majority, then I called everybody else and said, hey, let's, that process took like maybe a year and a half.
Okay.
When we were close to the end, we already had majority. We could just go and do whatever we decided and leave behind the ones who did not come together.
Yeah.
Came and picked them up and brought them together. Me and one colleague, also owner of a company, and one technician of the SINDIONIBUS. The idea was from the three of us, and we got all the companies that said, "Hey, don't be behind, don't be separated, come with us." And then everybody came, and it worked
Wonderful.
well, and that kind of put me in the position I am today.
Now, do you have your own bus company? Are you one of the 17 companies, or are you just helping them?
Yes, I am a shareholder in one of the 17 companies.
Okay, very good. And when it comes, this is a really interesting approach. I mean, I'm head of a group called the North American Transit Alliance. I'm the executive director of it, and it's 6 of the big contractors that are formed together, but they don't work that closely together. There's rules here in America that say we have to be very careful how we work. And we basically work in Washington, D.C. for laws that would help the whole industry, like you're doing through your other association. It's probably more like the other national association. Mm-hmm. But I'm interested in how all this works. And you all are like working on urban collective transportation. Tell us a little bit about that in the context of ESG and ODS, and explain what that means.
Good. That's a great topic that I like a lot, because when I represent SINDIONIBUS, which is something that interests a lot to every authority, everybody in the city, what I usually say is, even if you're not a passenger, if you do not use public transportation, you're still our client, because the city is our client. So that's a concept that I like to say, that the city only works, especially here in Brazil, where people uses a lot of mass transportation and public transportation, like right. Around a third of the trips that goes around in the city every day, they happen in the public transportation. If those a third of the trips got out of public transportation and started using individual transportation, they would use 17 times more space. So just collapse the city.
Yeah, no one could even move then. It'd be gridlock.
Yes, that's what I usually say. The city is our client. And when you think of the ODS, which are the 17 goals of the United Nations for sustainable development, they have a lot of approaches. They want to approach poverty. They want to approach air pollution. All of them, when you think of public transportation, you can say that public transportation fits and helps in all the 17 goals. We help people in the age of work dying in public accidents. In transit accidents. We help to reduce pollution a lot. We help to the poor people in the city a way to move around, because they cannot move through individual transportation. So all the goals that you see there, public transportation have an important role. And also in ESG, which is a whole new concept of administration of the companies, and which I think it's very important, and it's a hard trend right now, because it says the companies have to be run in the concept of environment, contemplating environment, social and governance.
Okay.
So for a bus company that have a lot of employees, that works with a lot of interests of the city, we cannot have conflicts of interest with the city. We have to be harmonic with the city development. So I think all those fits a lot and have to be part of the administration of bus companies, and we can help developing all that in the cities and the society as a whole.
That's wonderful. So you have some real higher social goals of showing how public transportation is going to help your economy and your country and your city as a whole. That it's a great vision for your transportation system, because it's not just about transporting people from A to B. It's about the impact that public mobility and public transportation, mass transit, can have on a whole region.
Yes, that's perfect. What I usually say is that public transportation, it's not a regular business. Our contractor is not the passengers. They are our clients, but the contractor is the city hall. Why? Because we are part of the infrastructure of the city. The bus is running good and the system working well will make all the economics run well. Everything works. The people can universally have guaranteed a way to get from A to B to meet their needs. So public transportation is much more than a business. It is a business that helps all other business.
That's wonderful. What a great vision. I love it. So I can see why they picked you as the leader. That's a great vision to have a higher progressive vision that you're working toward. Hey, in our remaining few moments, I'd like our listeners to get to know you a little bit more, Dimas. So tell us a little about yourself, some of your hobbies, what you like to do, those kind of things.
Well, Paul, I've been of people transportation my whole life. I started working real early. I was from 15 to 16 years old when I started working. And everything started real soon for me. I ran the first bus company, which I was not owner, I was only employee, but I was invited to run it when I was 18 years old.
Wow.
Started loving it, and I got enrolled with everything that goes around this subject in the country, and especially here in my city. And my hobbies, I always liked everything that in electronics, from video games to computing. And also I like motorbikes, which unfortunately got me into an accident a few months ago. It was a very serious accident. I had a risk of dying, but I got out of it with health. So
that's good. So you're a rally race biker, right? I mean, you're riding these motorcycles in races, right?
Yes, yeah. It's called the I don't know how to say that word in English, but the Certains rally. They go to country sites, farms and things like that.
Oh, okay.
Dirt roads and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I had this accident, and I got I fell from a bridge in a river.
Oh man!
Water for 5 minutes. So
wow.
It was worse the fall or me passing out inside the water for 5 minutes, but both of them kind of killed me for a few minutes, and they came and reanimated me.
Wow, that's something. Well, I'm glad you made it.
Yes. So that's a hobby of mine that's kind of frozen right now.
You're taking a break from that.
Yes. And that's always been my main hobby.
Yeah.
Not only on rallies, but also riding on the streets and everything. So I had to think about a new hobby for me.
Yeah, understood. We want to keep you safe and keep you working in the transit industry too. Well, this has been wonderful. Is there anything else you'd like to share before we wrap up the interview about what you do or what the future holds?
Well, Paul, one thing that's really nice about this moment that we live is that we don't really know what the future holds. So that's what I'm embracing right now. I'm kind of like every day trying to fall in love with evolution, because that's a way to keep me happy working, because the evolution comes and changes it and messes it. So to be kind of trying to hold the past to work in the future, it just didn't work, but that's the natural reaction. So I'm really looking right now for evolution in the transport system. And I kind of I'm anxious to see what's going to come in the near future.
Very good. Yeah, it's like Darwin said, right? It's not the strongest that survive. It's not the quickest that survive. It's those that adapt that survive.
Yes.
And that's what you're talking about, isn't it? Public transportation needs to take this existential moment in our history and adapt to the new realities. And it sounds like that's just what you're doing there in Fortaleza.
That's a great affirmation. The ones that adapt are the ones that are going to live and lead. And also, there's something, another quote that I like is that if you think you can foresee the future, it's because you didn't get what's happening.
That's great.
Together.
Yep. Well, Dimas Barreira, thank you so much for being our guest today and sharing with us how a public transportation in your part of Brazil and the whole country is zooming ahead with high technology, making sure that people are taking this moment in time to make improvements to the system and to have public transportation and mobility really be a benefit to everyone, even not just the riders, but the whole city. The way you put it was amazing. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you a lot. Thank you, Juan, for indicating myself, and Paul for inviting me. It was a pleasure and a privilege.
Next week, Paul is talking with Andrew Bada of UITP. So look forward to some international perspectives on Transit Unplugged news and views. To stay up to date with all the new episodes, you can get updates via email or subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Learn more at transitunplugged.com. So until next week, ride safe and ride happy.